Welcome. You have just tuned in to the book of Jennesis. Get ready to fasten your seatbelts because we are stepping all the way out the box and breaking all the rules. Are you ready? Are you sure? Well, let's get into it. Here is your host, the wonderful, the beautiful, the intelligent, the wise Jennesis.
Hey, YouTube family. Happy hump day. I am peeking my head in today because y'all, I get to do a sit down. This sit down that I have been waiting to do for I don't even know how long. Hopefully we're gonna get some juicy stuff out of this sit down. I titled this show Man Among Men, because guess what? I got one of my favorite male YouTube cousins in the building today, y'all. We gonna jump right into it because I'm nosy like that, and I want to know everything. So welcome to the show, my YouTube cousin, SoulToucha the Poet.
Oh my goodness. Wait.
Hey.
What's up? I feel like my camera's too far away. All right, that's a little better. There we go.
Okay, all right. So, what you been up to today, this week?
This week, nothing much. Working from home.
Okay.
That's about it. Getting some documents approved for emergency preparedness, since that's what I do. So that's pretty much all I've been up to this week so far.
Okay, well, we're gonna get into what you do.
Okay.
I don't even know where to start. Like, do we go back to the date of birth and like what happened?
Wow.
Yeah, we doing it all. We gonna get it all.
I guess we can. I mean, we could jump around like House of Pain or whatever.
Jump around like House of Pain. Okay. Look, we're gonna start with childhood and then we're gonna move forward.
All right.
Okay. Tell us about the childhood. Only child, how many siblings, mom and dad, what's that story?
So I was born February 28th, 1973, Manhattan, New York.
In New York City.
So
adjacent.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I have one sister with my mother. I didn't realize that I had about 7 or so other sisters until I was like 18.
Okay, now that was a mouthful. See, he done started off. Wait,
yes.
You didn't know you had how many siblings?
7 or so sisters. I don't know if I have any brothers out there.
So how they had 7 sisters?
So you know the song Papa Was a Rolling Stone?
Yes.
So that joker was rolling. And the sisters I have are from like 3 or so different mothers, some of which I have not met. I actually still have a sister or 2 that I have not met at the age of 49. But yeah, I grew up knowing them as family friends, and you know how, family friends.
Wait, hold on. 7 siblings that you knew growing up as family friends.
Well, the ones that I knew.
Or the ones that you knew.
I knew up as family friends.
So how did it come out that you had all these siblings?
Let's see. This takes a trip back down memory lane.
Uh-oh.
So I grew up thinking that the sister that I share with my mother, I grew up thinking that her father was my father, which he was not my father. I find this out in the 5th grade when my family friend / sister said, "That's not your real father."
Hold on. Now, Lord Jesus. 5th grade.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I'm getting confused. As one of them stories. Your sister that you thought was your half
Family friend.
sister with your mother.
Yeah.
You all share the same mother.
We share the same mother.
You thought her dad was your dad.
Right.
Find out from a family friend who was actually a sibling
Mm-hmm.
that this person you thought was your dad for all these years isn't your dad.
Correct.
So how that conversation go at the dinner table?
It wasn't at the dinner table. It's one of those play days when I was running in and out the house. And I think he was coming over to pick me up or whatever that was. And it was like, that's not your father, that's your stepfather. And it didn't resonate back then because I didn't know any better. So it was like, oh, okay. And went on about my business. Let me see. So okay. So my mother allowed me to stay with them in the 5th grade. Now, mind you, we had been going back when we lived in New York. We had been, at each other's house and all this, that, and the other. I moved with my mother and him. He was in the Air Force. So we went to California, went to Mississippi, then back to New York. Then my mother joined the Army in 84, 85. And they would come down to Fort Bragg where we were, and we would come back up and, do all of that. My mother went to Germany, and I went to stay with them for the 5th grade. And that's when that came out. And then after the 5th grade, I went to Germany with my mother, but I didn't want to stay over there. And so she let me come back. And by this time, they moved to Maryland. And so I did Maryland 6th grade. And I didn't do too good in school. So my mother made me go to Germany. So I stayed with my mother from 7th grade till I graduated high school. Then my mother ships me to Florida with actual family that knew me, but I didn't know them, telling them I was going to college.
Hold on. I don't think I'm following. Forgive the slow kid in the back. So wait a minute. You go to Florida with. Are these actually family members, or is this?
This is family. This is family on my mother's side.
Okay, so it's family for real, like real family, not who you're thinking is family.
Right.
Okay, so you go to Florida with family.
Yeah, and they knew me. I didn't know them. So I was down there from maybe June to like August or something like that. It just wasn't working out. I didn't know them. I felt out of place or whatever. So I'm like just out there.
How do you do that? So you're a kid and you're going to stay with family members.
18 years old.
That you don't know.
That I don't know. And my mother told them I was going to college.
Okay.
So I stayed down there for a while. Didn't think to contact my family in Maryland, so they can save me. Until after I went to Army recruited and signed up for the Army. Then I got the bright idea to contact my family up here. They send for me. So I come up here and
now this is Dad's family, or we're still on Mom's?
This is in Maryland. This is the family that I thought was family friends.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
hey, Inya.
So I joined the Army, but I signed up for the Army. I'm due to ship off in November. I ship off, go to basic training, and in December they gave us a break. So I come home for that break.
To Maryland. Okay.
Sitting on the couch one day, and my family friend / sister, I'm sitting there chilling, watching TV. And
now, how old are you at this point?
I'm still 18 at this time.
Okay.
I hear, we brother and sister, right? I'm like, I just continue to watch TV because I hear it's sinking in, but it's not resonating. And I'm like, okay. I'm home for 2 weeks and I go back to basic training, and that thought is out of sight, out of mind. So yeah, that's how that went. That's how that part of it went. There's more complicated and intricate parts to that, but that's how I came to know that my siblings were my siblings. Yeah.
So when this person says, we are brother and sister, there's other siblings connected to that person that you know.
At that
or
point,
as family friends.
At that point, one.
Okay, so you're sitting on the couch, you realize that now you have two brand new siblings that you never knew anything about.
No, I knew them.
Well, I mean, you didn't know that
I didn't know that they were siblings. Right. Yeah.
So do you start asking questions? What happens next?
I don't ask anything. I'm home for them 2 weeks and I go back off the basic training and start my military life, and I don't even process it. And I really didn't think about it that much. I mean, the thought came here and there, but it wasn't a thought that I like completely processed because I was focused on getting through basic training in AIT.
Whew. Okay. So then bring us forward. How do we discover that there are more siblings?
So I get off active duty in 95 and I come back here to Maryland. And then there's the conversation of, no. So the other sister, she has a daughter. And the years start going by. And then I find out that this daughter that she has been raising is a third sister.
Lord Jesus, wait a minute, hold on. So the family friend, you're thinking that the kid she is raising is her daughter, but it's really your father's child that she is raising.
Yes. Now, in this mix, there's a cousin. Now, I didn't know this was my blood cousin, but I always grew up calling her my cousin. So she's kind of like, all right, verified almost to a degree. Now, my mother retires from the Army in, I want to say, late 95. And then probably 96, 97. Hey, your father's moving down here to Maryland. And I'm like, okay. First thought in my mind is I'm gonna fuck this nigga up. No, excuse my French. I'm gonna put some hands on this dude.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
At any point when you're hearing these stories, hey Judge Jay, at any point when you're hearing these stories, do you ever go and ask your mother for confirmation? Hey ma, they such and such say that she my sister.
I never asked my mother for confirmation of anything at that point.
Okay. So Dad's moving to Maryland.
Yeah, I didn't, I never asked those questions because I was always lied to as a youth. So I'm gonna back up a little bit.
Okay.
So I had the knowledge that my stepfather wasn't my biological father. So while I'm in school in Germany, we have a school project. We have to write a letter to somebody. Now, by this time, I've seen my birth certificate and I'm told who my father is at the time. So the school project is to write a letter to someone. So I picked my birth certificate father.
Okay, we're going to get to that air quote father.
Yeah.
Or why there's the air quote, but go ahead.
It's going to play out.
Right.
So my birth certificate father name is Selden Landy. All right.
Okay.
So I write a letter. I get the address from my mother. I throw the thing in the mail. I hear nothing back. In the meantime, I'm hearing all of these fascinating stories about this man named Selden Landy, whose nickname is Chicken George, and he's a man of the streets, and he's this and he's that. He's like a folk hero. He's like a, and he's like, wow, I strive to be this. I want to meet this guy. So I'm stuck with that. Now, fast forward to the point where I'm on that couch and I get told that we're brother and sister. I'm like, but I don't ask any questions. To know,
Do you all look alike? Is there any physical resemblance?
I didn't pay attention to it at that point. At this point in my life, I see here and there. Okay. But the other humdinger in the whole story is throughout most of my school years, I used my mother's married last name on all my school documentation. Her married last name is Holmes. So all through school, on my school paperwork, it says King Holmes, my nickname and my mother's married name. I didn't start using my actual name, Aching Landy, until I was in high school. And still, most of my school documents had my nickname King and my last name. Now, when I'm on that couch, when I'm told this, my siblings, their last name is Reed, Reed. So it's like, well, damn, I'm a black sheep of the family. So now this guy I wrote that letter to the birth certificate father and didn't hear anything back. Heard all those fascinating stories about him, this, that, and the other, but I still never asked any questions. Because at that point, I just didn't want to know. So fast forward to when my biological father is moving to Maryland. I have that, I'm gonna put some hands on him because it's like, where have you been my entire life? I'm thinking, all right, he's moving here. I can get this weight off my chest, this monkey off my back. I can get this aggression out my system. And like I said, throw hands on him because it's like, where have you been my entire life? Mind you, everybody else had contact with this guy. Everybody else had contact with this guy except me. I heard nothing about him. Nobody talked about him, anything like that. So when I finally meet him, I'm looking at him and he's just like this broke down dude, Vietnam veteran, drug addict, this, that, and the other. And I'm just looking at this dude like, wow. So try to build a relationship, open communication, this, that, and the other. And it's just like, it's just not there. I was going through my little wild phase where I just was irresponsible and reckless and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. So I ended up staying with him for a little while. But I just couldn't do it because, he did his drugs or whatever the case may be. I would come home from work and the house smelled like whatever he was sniffing, smoking or whatever. And the day I packed all my stuff and moved up out of there, Joker got raided. And his Joker caught a kingpin charge. Now, you in your 60s catching a kingpin charge, and it's like you're not even pushing weight like that. It's like I moved out that Joker just in time. So he half-ass tries to build a relationship with me, but I have a whole bunch of bitterness because he's having from my perspective, better relationship with my siblings. And it's like, damn, I'm your son. I ain't seen you in all these years. And it's like, you're not even making a real effort to, build bond with me or anything like that. And at this point, I'm like, I don't even care about how all of this came to be and how I'm here, didn't know who my father was, didn't know that I have all these siblings and why my last name is this and why I have a birth certificate father that does not exist. I didn't care. So around this time, this is when I find out that the child that my other sister was raising is actually a sister. And her mother, I don't know what the hell happened to with her mother, but it's like, yo, damn, what the hell? And then, so that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4 sisters right now. The one I grew up with from my mother, and those 3. So then I find out that I have 2 more sisters in Virginia. I meet one of them. She actually came up. She was living with me and my mother for a little while. Then she went back to Virginia. Then some years go by. So that's what? That's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 6. And then I had another sister whose mother is in South Carolina. She joined the Air Force.
Wait, I think I lost count somewhere. Okay, you have the one with the sister from your mother.
Right.
Then the 3 that you found out.
Right. The 2 that I grew up with that were family friends.
Right. And then now this one comes from Virginia and stays with
the two that I grew up knowing family friends. The one of them was raised as her daughter. Is the 2 in Virginia. One I only met. And then
that's what I was missing. Okay, one of the 2 you hadn't met. Okay. Right.
And then there's the other one whose mother's in South Carolina. She joined the Air Force. So out of the 7, I don't know one of them.
So do you ever get an explanation, or do you ever ask Dad why you were the only sibling who didn't know him or didn't have a relationship with him?
I never asked, and I never asked. The reason why I never asked, because a lot of the people around me are drug users, abusers, however you want to call it, recreational or whatever. In my mind, they're all drug addicts. So I never got a chance to ask, never felt like asking, because I always thought I was going to get a lie. And this is because my introduction, my interaction with him, I didn't want to deal with it. So I go to Iraq in 2004, from 2004 to 2005. He passed away in 2007. Now there's many parts of this dynamic that like pissed me off. But the only part that like really broke me down, made me cry, was after he died, I met his brothers for the first time. They knew me, but I did not know them. And one of them had the audacity to say, now you should change your name to the family name. And it stung. It was disrespectful. It was inconsiderate and all that, because from 1973 to 2007, I have carried the last name that I have with all the lies and all of that. So for him to say that to me, it's like, yo, really? Are you serious? And it's like, me and my 2 sons are the only ones in my entire family with my last name, which nobody else in my family has, because this name was given to me.
The name was given to you. Okay, so where did the name come from? Did I miss that?
I do not know. I have not asked, because I've gotten so many different stories of how I came to be. One of those stories, my mother attempted to tell me this story when I came home during my mid-tour break from Iraq. she told me she was raped and this, that, and the other. And I'm sitting there like, I'm not understanding. Like, maybe I'm a little insensitive or whatever, but I'm a child that grew up in, I had piss poor upbringing. It wasn't horrible, but it was
Mhm.
piss poor. And for her to tell me that, it's like, you couldn't even tell me who my biological father was. You had me growing up thinking first that the dude she married was my father. Then I'm growing up thinking that this person that's on my birth certificate not only was a real person, but I assumed he was my father. And you couldn't even tell me that I grew up around people that were actually my siblings. And I dealt with her mental and emotional abuse and this, that, and the other. For her to sit there and tell me that, he raped me, this, that, and the other. And then my sister's mother, I don't know how this conversation came to be, but it was a conversation about brother, sister, this, that, and the other. And she says, I knew they was having sex the whole time. And I'm sitting there like, what? I'm like, so hearing all of that stuff and dealing with all of that stuff just made me not even want to ask what the deal was, because it was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get a true story or if I'm gonna get a lie. So I just like, you know what? All right, whatever.
So I'm gonna go back a little bit
Mm-hmm.
to the kingpin portion.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that he was a user
Mm-hmm.
and he also gets this kingpin charge.
Right.
Do you think the behavior, because he was a user, do you think that that may have contributed to him fathering so many children with so many women?
I would not doubt it at all.
Okay.
Because he was married, he was actually married to my sister's mother, which is why they all have the last name Reed.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, I would I would assume two things: that one, that was his lifestyle, and
Hmm.
two, that contributed to his negligence. So I don't know. I just
Okay.
I got to the point in my life to where um I just said, I don't care, because I'm not going to be like them. That's and that was, and for a long time, I kept it bottled in. It was embarrassing. It was, it was all kind of things. And I looked at my, like many of us go through life, we think we're the only person going through things like that. Um, but once I realized that I'm not an anomaly, I'm nobody special, and people go
Right.
through this and people go through worse, mentally, I just made it a priority to myself to not go down a lot of the paths that they have gone down, and not even lead that lifestyle. And for the most part, I've been successful.
You were breaking the cycle. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what's up. So this person who is on the birth certificate, whose
Hmm.
name you had, it's a real person. Did you ever get to meet the real person?
I don't
Or
know if this
just said,
person,
hey, he the pappy and I'm putting his
I
name on the
don't know.
birth certificate and
I
that's
don't
it?
know. I have no idea. From I don't know. I've heard he exists. I heard he doesn't exist. But again, I was to the point in my life where it was like, I don't even care anymore. Um, my mother put this name on me, so I'm aware with honor. I'm aware. It's that's my thing. Me and my sons, we have our own legacy. Um, I think also another thing that kind of bothered me was, at the very least, why couldn't my mother give me her maiden name?
That
Instead
was
of
going to be
giving
my
me,
next question.
you
Did you
know,
ever consider changing it to that or
no, I never considered it,
changing?
because by the time I find out that Landy is not my name, it's not an actual name that's attached to me, um, I'm damn near an adult. Um, and then when my uncle said, after my biological person died, and he said I should change my last name to the family name, I really have no connection other than these stories to that name. It has really no relevance to me. So I take pride and stand apart that me and my children are our own entity within this family. Um, so I'm gonna keep that name with pride. And at this time, it was like I'm not gonna change my name to my father's last name or my mother's maiden name, because then what about my sons? Like, it's kind of like when women get divorced and they keep the married name for their children. It's like, for me, it's like I'm keeping this name because this is me and my children.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Now, when he passes away emotionally, how do you feel?
Um, a little detached. And the detachment has been because of my upbringing. Um, you know, did I mourn? Yes, I mourned. Did I grieve? Maybe. I don't know if I went through all 7 steps of grieving or anything like that. But um, my sisters called me. We all went to the hospital. He in the VA hospital in Baltimore, and we were all in there, and they had stepped out, and it was just me and him in the room. I looked at him and I said, "I forgive you." And
Wow.
after that, he took his last breath. Um, I shed a couple of tears,
Wow.
and that was it.
Wow. So final moments, just you and him in the
Yeah,
room.
yeah. It wasn't no big. I mean, the conversation that I had with him was in my head. It was not any words coming out of my mouth. And um, I just looked at him and flashed through my entire life, all the ups, downs, the nonsense, and all the craziness that I've been through. And I just said, I forgive you. And I just washed my hands of that grief, that pain, there.
And during the time where you were living with him, you guys never had any of those conversations about, what I mean, did you have a, catch up? Hey, what you been up to the last 18 years or
Nah, none of that.
none of that?
Nah, we didn't. No, we didn't have a lot of conversations because we really didn't have a lot in common. Again, he did drugs a lot, and that's never been my thing. So it was like when I come in, I go in my room, close the door, or hit the road, go do what I do, or whatever the case may be. Or, if I had some female friends come over to come up to the room, close the door, and it was kind of like 2 ships passing the nights
Right.
most of the time. I mean, we would be cordial, greet each other, small talk here and there, but nothing significant. No, hey, what you been up to? Hey, why this, why that? I didn't even attempt to go down that road, and he didn't even offer to go down that road.
Okay. By the time of his passing, had you become a father yet?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Um. Yeah, because he passed in '07. My oldest son was born in '93, and my youngest was born in '05.
Okay. Were they able to meet him? Did they have a relationship
No,
with
not
him?
at all. Not at all. No.
Never met him?
Mm-mm. Nope. Never met him.
Was that on purpose?
Um, Not necessarily on purpose. My oldest at the time, he was in Arkansas, and my youngest, let me see. So he was 2 at that time. Um, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they lived in Virginia at that time. Um, so no, it wasn't on purpose. It just wasn't convenient, and it was not something that, um, in my heart, it was not something that I felt was appropriate or even pressing because of me not having that relationship with him. It's like I would rather feel more comfortable knowing exactly who this man was that I was introducing my children to. And at the same time, I was strongly opposed to having my children around heavy drug users.
Now, you mentioned that the two ships passing in the night, that you would have, a lady friend come over.
Mm-hmm.
Were you explaining this family dynamic when you were involved with someone?
Yeah, I mean, as I've got, well, yeah, because it wasn't such a taboo to me at the point. I would get in a relationship or even just casual talking with people, and I would have this conversation about, hey, this and that, and they'd be looking at me like, are you serious? Be like, yeah.
Hey, Jill's
um
ChatGPT.
so yeah,
Hey,
it was
Jill.
never a thing that I was ashamed of to share.
Mm-hmm.
I was just ashamed of it internally, looking at my family. That's the only problem that I had with it. But as far as telling people, hey, I don't know who the hell this guy is and this person on my birth certificate, I never had a problem discussing that.
Okay. Now, I know that you have been, but the YouTube listeners don't know, but you've been married before. So when you get married,
Uh-huh.
are you, the childhood struggles, and does that, what you're thinking in terms of family or family structure, since you have this kind of chaotic family history?
Yeah. So the first time that I got married,
First
I,
time.
yeah, first time, round one, ding.
Round one. Okay.
So first time I'm thinking, family structures, 2-parent household, we're gonna raise the child, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. But mind you, there were no grown men in the room uh teaching me the ways of fatherhood, husband, and this, that, and other. I never had those conversations. I had the birds and the bees conversation with a uncle on my sister's side, you know, at the age of 9, 10, 11, after a couple of Miller beers. So
You were drinking Miller beers, or he's drinking Miller beers?
look, I'm a child of the 70s and 80s. We get fed alcohol, back in the day.
Wait a minute, hold on. Well, I don't know about you, but in my household, children were not allowed to drink alcohol. So
Well,
at 9, 10, 11, you're
yeah,
drinking beer with your uncle?
yeah. But
And
yeah,
having a conversation. And well, you said, I was gonna skip over this, but now I gotta go back to it, because you said your sister's uncle. Now, for some people are listening, they're not gonna understand that. The sister's uncle. Okay, so the sister that you share the same mother with, or
Right.
half sister,
Mm-hmm.
her biological uncle is
Right.
who is teaching you about the birds and the bees.
Had
and
a
you're having beer with
conversation,
at
a
9.
conversation about the birds,
Conversation.
not teaching. It's one thing
Okay.
to have a conversation.
True.
It's one thing to teach it. So
Okay.
it was a conversation that, I could not fully comprehend because, after 1 or 2 Miller beers, a 9, 10-year-old is drunk. So yeah. But
That's the whole other show.
yeah.
I mean, who in their right mind is giving beer to a 9, 10, or 11-year-old? It's beyond me, but
I'm just gonna say that's how New Yorkers are.
okay.
I don't know how they do it across the other all the anywhere else in the country. But
Okay.
but getting back to my first marriage,
Mm-hmm.
I had this whole mindset that I'm gonna be the father, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. So we're dealing with each other. Her father doesn't like me because I'm in the army and he's in the army. He said in his mind, all army dudes are trash. So she gets pregnant. He tries to get me in trouble. He tries to get me kicked out. We persevere through that. We get married.
He tries to get you kicked out of the military?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
yes. So my thinking at the time, was, my child is not going to grow up without a father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may be admirable in some situations, but I had no idea of what that entailed. And that was, I will say,
Hey, AT
one of the biggest mistakes I made in my life. I won't say regret,
Mm-hmm.
biggest mistake, because I didn't know, um at that time I didn't know getting married because she's pregnant is not the right thing to do. And that proved not to be the right thing to do. Um, I guess my intentions were good, but the reality of it was I wasn't ready for marriage. I wasn't ready for a child. At that time, I was 19 years old when she got pregnant. Um, we got married when I was 20. She was 18. So I married her fresh out of, high school graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we stayed married from 93 to whatever 93 to January of, well, February of 96. Our divorce was final.
Okay. So 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years and 1 month
Yeah.
was when it was final.
Yes, final.
We know that, there's a little separation that happens. So
Oh, it was a
you
big
grow out of it.
there was no little separation, there was a big separation.
Wow.
Yeah, because shortly, and another problem that we had was we were like, we loved each other,
Mm-hmm.
and we did whatever we needed to do to be together, but the people around us, they wasn't for it. Like, her girlfriends was poisoning her head, my homeboys is poisoning my head, and it's like we were both too immature to block out the noise and step away. So it ended up me being for the streets and her being for the streets, and it just got crazy. So
Hey,
yeah,
Raylan.
so we had that big separation, and then I had the opportunity. So in the military, I don't know if they still do it, but they have a stateside swap to where if you are in the same job and the same rank as somebody else, you can switch positions. So I did that. I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky. She went back to Arkansas with her family. And when I got to Fort Knox, Kentucky, it was a whole new group of people and a whole different ball game. And I just wowed the hell out. Like,
What is wild in the hell out?
look here.
Now you can't be vague like that.
Fort Knox, Kentucky is probably about 45 minutes to an hour from Louisville.
Uh-huh.
Let me just tell you, I was burning that street up.
Got them in different area codes, huh?
Man, yeah. I had a female who was in another unit around the corner from me, and I was always up in her barracks. That was the time when you ain't supposed to have people spending the night in your barracks, but I was in her barracks like that. I was taking showers, in her company. It's like people looking at me like like I belong there and everything. I was wilding out all the way out.
So the dreams of having the nuclear family are gone.
They were shattered. So yeah.
You for the streets now.
Yeah.
Then does round 2 come right after that?
No, because what happened was, so I get off active duty in 95 and I come back to Maryland. So me and her, we're mad at each other, but we're still talking to each other. So
still talking to each other,
still talking to each other.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was, before I leave Kentucky, I left to Kentucky in March. I saw a divorce lawyer in February. So he was like, when you're ready, you just send the final payment and we'll get the divorce process. So me and her are talking from that point on. So she comes to visit Maryland more than once, but she comes January of 96. And we are talking about rekindling and getting back together and, having our family, this, that, and the other. It was a snowy night in January of 95. I mean, 96. We're laying in the bed. Child bundle of joy is over there just kiki sleeping and shit. And she said something to me that enraged me. I got up out of the bed. I grabbed that paper that I had from the lawyer. I signed that joker, put the check in there. Back when it was paper checks was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I put that in an envelope, lick the envelope back when you had to lick an envelope.
You just dated yourself, cousin.
Yeah. Went outside to the mailbox, put it in the mailbox, and put the arm up back in the day when you had to put the arm up on the mailbox. And I said, F this. Probably about 3 weeks later, I got my divorce papers in the mail.
Did you tell her that you
Hell no, I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her anything. She pissed me off so bad that I just got out the bed, filled them papers out, signed the check, put it in an envelope, and I was like, I'm done. Done. I was so done. And that was it. Got the divorce papers in the mail, and I was like, I'm free.
I'm not going to even ask about how she found out and all that. Look, Red, let's decide what did she say? Because we all curious. So I'm going to ask the question now since she just thought what I was thinking. We had the same thought. So what did she say when she found out? Because y'all talking about rekindling.
Well, by this time she
mailing divorce papers off.
Well, by this time she was back in Arkansas because it was like that happened. And it was like, I was like, you got to go. So probably, I want to say maybe a week or so later, I sent her back to Arkansas and then got the phone call and it was an argument and it was like, click. They had no cell phones back then. So click, done. I was done.
Wow. Okay. So how do we get to round two?
How do we get to round two? Round two, I was like a pinball machine, just bouncing. I don't remember what she said that night. But whatever she had said, it was in the tone that she used to say things that would get me upset.
Triggered.
Yeah, so,
you were triggered.
Yeah, I was real triggered.
Like,
so
here we go again.
Yeah, and that was here we go again with this BS. And I was like, yeah. So I don't remember exactly what she said, but whatever she said, it triggered me. And it was like, in my mind, it was like, she knows exactly what to say to trigger me. So that's what that was.
Okay.
But how we get to round two, yeah, I was burning them streets up. Yeah. Okay, so leading up to round two, I used to use dating, sex, and relationships as therapy for me. And it got to the point where I bounced around so much to where it felt like I was literally giving my soul away. Like I would do it and be laying there like, why did I do this? So I had this job at this warehouse, and she worked in an administrative position or whatever. And we started conversating, whatever case may be, started dating. She was dating somebody, I was doing my thing. And, we started hanging out or whatever. And we started, doing our thing. So I was like, I would marry you in 2 years. I said I would marry you in 2 years, but that 2 years turned into 1 year. And it was, yeah, just one of those things. She said I was just out there hoeing.
Yeah.
Oh,
sounds
man.
like it. Now, that marriage. You had children?
No children. No children from that marriage, but during that marriage, my second child was conceived.
Now we got to unpack how you for the streets, because you just said no children during the marriage with the wife, but you did conceive a child during the marriage.
Yeah.
You was just loose with it, huh?
I was look.
You loose with it.
I was fluid.
Now, is this the reason why the marriage ended?
No. The marriage ended because I was a jackass.
Okay, self-admission, that's good.
Look, I would never, ever, 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 ever put blame on a person that does not deserve it. But I was a jackass. I treated her poorly. I did not care at the point.
Hey, Todd.
What's up, Todd? Yeah, yeah. We never lived together. And you know, that was a something that bothered her. And I recognized it, I knew it, but I didn't care. I was just in that I don't care phase. So I had women, and I used to get caught. Like caught. But
caught to me is you got caught like in the bed, in the midst of it. You were caught like that.
Let me tell you how
the cheetah's van rolled up on you caught.
Let me tell you how my caught was. This was back in the day where we used to cuff our jeans, right?
Okay.
So one day I was out doing my thing, and I went to her house, because remember, we didn't live together. I went to her house, and for whatever reason,
you and the wife didn't live together.
No, we did not live together. The whole 6 years we was married, we did not live together.
I don't know what kind of marriage y'all doing. 6 years y'all don't live together?
I was horrible. I was horrible.
So why get married?
I got married because she wanted to get married, and I said I
would
marry her.
So in a year, you said you would marry her in two. You married her in one, but then y'all lived in separate residences.
Yeah.
And you doing your thing. Okay, you go out.
But how I got caught. How I got caught that one time. That one time that I got caught. I went to her house, hopped in the bed, took the clothes off, and we doing our thing, whatever the case may be.
After you come in from the streets?
After I come in from the streets, she wakes me up to a condom. A used condom. For I don't know how it happened, but in my cuffed jeans, because I cuffed them on the outside, the condom was sitting in the cuff of my jeans.
Oh, jeez.
And I could not confess, lie, steal, cheat my way out of that any kind of way. So she was heated with me, like heated with me.
And she should have been.
Yeah, I you know what? Look, I wouldn't, if I would have been on ID channel, I couldn't even be mad at her. But yeah, that's just one time that I got caught. Like when we worked at the same job for a minute. When I stopped working at that job, I worked at a different job, and that different job was like a candy store for me. Like it was like a candy store. My eyes was big. I was like, women. One time, me and this chick went to lunch. She hopped in my car. We was going to lunch, and lo and behold,
took a detour.
No, we ain't taking no detour. We literally went to lunch. But I was so in my world of having fun, and I didn't know my wife was behind me in the car. In her car.
Oh.
She didn't show out on spot, but she brought it to my attention. And of course I tried to lie my way out of it, but there was no lying my way out of that one. Like no way lying my way out of that.
So now this is a first in YouTube history that we had a man first admit that he was an a-hole, that he did her bad, Now you are talking about how you got caught and, being transparent about your cheating. How are there multiple incidents? Like, what do you say to her when you come back after you've been busted? How do you get back in her good graces? And
I
then I
don't
got a
know.
follow-up question also.
I don't know. I would assume that we had a genuine love for each other, whatever that was at that time. I know at this point, I don't think I can describe that at that time as a genuine love, but I know she loved me very deeply. And as much as I was an ass and hurt her, in my brain, I didn't want to hurt her, even though I was still hurting her. So yeah, it was multiple women. Hell, one woman when I went to Iraq, one said she was pregnant by me. I was like, "No, you're not," and she said, "Oh, yes, I am." And she
And
told
this
the
is
whole.
on this is the same marriage.
Yeah, this is the same marriage.
Okay.
This is not the one who
This is
who
not
was
the
carrying my.
child who was conceived. This is
No,
another
this is
woman who's
another
saying
one
she's
who
pregnant.
was saying that she was
Lord
carrying my child. And I was
Jesus.
like, "No, you're not." She said, "Yes, I am." Blah blah blah, and she told the whole world. And my wife writing me letters in Iraq, telling me this, telling me that, and I'm like, that is not my child. And I was like, damn, I'm like, why? Matter of fact, and she was married. And I'm like, why is she telling everybody she's carrying my child? So yeah, that's how that went with just those two. Well, those three.
Okay, so now I don't know if this is going to be a difficult question or not, but since you've admitted to the cheating, in your head, tell me what you're thinking. Like, you get caught. Like, for the ladies who have been cheated on, they want to know, or somebody who's going to avoid getting back with her. Like, are you calculating, structuring your words or devising a plan so that you can get back with her? Are you taking, like you said, that you knew that she cared for you deeply? At any moment, are you trying to capitalize on that? Like, okay, I know she cared for me deeply. She gonna take me back. I just gotta get, my wording together. Do you know that she's gonna take you back? And are you really serious when you come back to her? I'm sure you, apologetic, baby, please.
I don't recall, but I don't really recall really apologizing. I was never calculated and making up or anything like that. For me, I was cocky, I was arrogant. Shoot, I would even say at that time I was mildly a narcissist. Because even though I saw her in pain and I knew I was causing her pain, it was like, she'll get over it. Oh, well, if she don't want to deal with me, she'll just leave me alone. That's what my head was. And it was like, in some places, when you tell a woman that you married, it's like you're more attracted to them or attractive to them. And that fueled my lust, that just fueled me to keep continuing, because if a woman gave me half attention, a slither of attention, I was jumping at it. And if one or two things was going to happen, she's going to roll with it or she wasn't. And before I said to myself, yeah, this is over, I'm getting a divorce, I would be like, yeah, I'm married, but we don't live together, and this, that, and the other. We getting divorced soon, so what's up? And they would buy into it. As
when
time
you
went
were
on,
telling them that, were you really intending to get divorced, or were you just running the line, like,
I was running the line, but in the back of my mind, I knew that divorce was inevitable. But as time started going by, it was like that is a fact. I am getting divorced. I went back. I went to Iraq during that marriage. You know, and you know what? I have to give her the utmost respect, utmost props, utmost thanks, and everything, because through all my BS, all the heartache and everything that I put her through, she took care of me while I was in Iraq. Like
Wow.
she smuggled alcohol to me. She took care of me. It made me feel bad that I treated her so poorly,
Mhm.
but she definitely
Hey, Miss Creative.
what's up to everybody in chat, by the way. She definitely looked out for me while I was gone. She gave me a going away party. like um to me, stuff like that is unheard of. Like, you are
Yeah.
that much of a jackass to your wife.
Yeah.
She gives you a go away party. She takes care of you when you come back. She, you know, welcomes you with open arms, even though you've been a jackass.
You done cheated before you
Cheated.
left. You get to Iraq. The lady saying she having your baby,
And I got one on the way.
and you have one on the way. So, one last question about this wife and this cheating incident. So, when you're going back,
Mhm.
do you know? I'm sure that you're not telling her I'm going to cheat again, but do you know that you're going to cheat again?
Oh yeah, I knew. I look. I knew I was going to cheat, and I knew I wasn't going to stop
Mm-hmm.
because there were no repercussions. Like, an argument, yeah. Of course, she, threw my clothes out, and whatever clothes I had at the house, threw them out in the street. I had a sound system in my car. She kicked in my speakers and this, that, and the other. Uh, dented my car, threw Drano on my clothes, dumped them in the parking lot at the shopping center. Like, she did all of that, rightfully so. I don't judge her for that.
Right. You
I
earned
mean,
that.
I mean, I could have gotten more out of that, but that's
Mhm.
the little that she did. So
Was there
yeah,
anything that she could have done that would have made you stop?
honestly, no,
So,
no.
if had there been repercussions,
Had
you
there been
still would have
repercussions,
continued.
I probably would have rethought
Strategy.
my nonsense. Not strap my nonsense.
Okay.
Um, uh, but and the craziest thing about that, we were married for 6 months before I told my family that I was married. I brought her to the house on Thanksgiving. Um, we was in the kitchen and they was preparing food, and I was like, "Hey, everybody, this is my wife," and they was like, "What? Yo, what? This is
Boom,
my
I got a
wife."
wife. Everybody else, they bringing side dishes and you bring a whole wife.
I bring a whole wife, and they was sitting there like, "What the fuck? Like, really? Like, damn." Yeah.
Okay, so now you got this baby on the way.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna move down that road next.
Mm-hmm.
Side chick having a baby. Well, the wife is still with you.
We're still married.
You're still married. The baby's born, and you're still married.
Yep. He was my son was born January 2005. I was still in Iraq when he was born.
Does the wife welcome the new baby?
Yeah, actually.
Welcome as in the baby's coming over, spending time. She's being
Let me see.
bonus mom to the love child.
Not bonus mom. Welcoming, as in I didn't get any death threats. So
But she's allowing the child to come to the home to visit.
again, we didn't live together. So I didn't have to bring the child home.
So when you're with the child, you don't go to her house.
No, not at all. Not
Okay,
at
you
all.
just
Not at
keep
all.
the kid at your home. Okay.
Yeah, so My son was born in January of 05. Now, the other young lady, she had a daughter born in May of 05.
What other young lady?
The one that said she was pregnant.
Okay. Okay.
So I come back home was October of 05, and daddy to my son and daddy to this little girl. And it was like I'm getting attached to the little girl. You know, I got my son, and it's like I got a daughter, blah blah blah. And I know it's
Y'all
not
didn't
mine.
go to the Maury show and get the test done?
Let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you. So I'm spending time and I'm getting attached to this beautiful baby girl. And yeah, I'm just loving her.
Yes, he's slanging it.
So we get to talking, and she was like, yeah, this is your daughter, blah blah blah. And I'm playing daddy, but I'm saying, no, this is not my child.
Where's her husband?
At this time, her husband was in Korea. They were going through a divorce.
Okay.
Because she was for the streets too.
Okay.
So she's telling me that this is my child. I'm saying, no, it's not my child. Now, I had a whole bunch of female friends, like actual friends, who knew all my street work, I'll say. So
those are the ones holding all the bones, right?
I would damn near call some of them accomplices to my foolery. But you know, some of them, she does look like you. I'm like, it's not mine. So me and her mother having a conversation one day, and we're talking, and I'm like, she's like, well, yeah, I conceived on this day, blah blah blah, and me being the man that I am, I kept calendars of who I had sex with and what days.
No.
Yes, I had stacks of calendars. And so she says she conceived on this particular day, and I paid attention in health class. I don't know about the rest of them jokers out there, but I paid attention in health class. So she says she conceived on blah, blah, blah day. And I'm looking at my calendar. Let me go back to 2004, around the day that you said you conceived. Let me count back these 9-10 months or whatever. And it's like, we didn't have sex around that time that you say you conceived. And she was like, oh, yes, we did, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, that's not mine. So I was like, you know what? Let me order one of these DNA kits. So order DNA kit. At this time, I'm father of the year, you know, that's my baby girl, blah, blah, blah. Do the DNA kit, throw that joke in the mail. It comes back a couple weeks later. You are 99.9999% not the father. So we sitting down, and I say, I'm not the father. Yes, you are. Here you go. I'm not the father. She says the only thing that pissed me off during that whole thing. Well, it must have been immaculate conception. I'm like, we are not in biblical times. What the hell are you talking about? So
she wanted you to be the pappy.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, so I got ruled out as the pappy, and you know, I continue to be in her life, and I still continue to be in her life. But
wow, that's good. That's good.
And now back to my wife at the time.
And we're going there. You tell her I am not the father.
Well, at that point, it really didn't matter because I had an actual child coming on the way. Well, actual son while we was married. But so by the time they were around, I want to say 2 or 3, I would bring them around her, and she accepted them both. Like, she just accepted them both. She called them little peeps, and you know, she cooked for them and get them stuff and this, that, and the other, and it was all cool.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is a strong woman.
And let me tell you, me and her are like best friends to this day.
I know there was a time where y'all weren't. Y'all were
Yeah,
always cool. Or now enough time has passed, y'all can be
yeah.
civil to or be friendly with each other.
No, no, not friendly. We are like best friends.
Like
like
best friends.
like best friends, like literally best friends.
So how do you all get divorced finally after all that? Like she stayed through
Um
the love child and the possible baby, but y'all ended
so
up
let me
divorced.
see. I came back from Iraq in '05. Um I went to Germany to visit my sister in '06 because she was in the Air Force. Come back and it's like uh gotta get a divorce. So I went through the process. Um but filed divorce and had to wait the little time period or whatever the case may be. It got time towards going to court. And at that time, I was bitter,
Mm-hmm.
but I know she had every right to be bitter. And it was like, I just want this shit done. Um, so we go through that, leave out the courtroom or whatever the case, well, the magistrate, whatever it was. It wasn't actual court. We had to sit behind before a master or whatever the case may be. Um, so the funny thing is, we leave up out of there. Now, we don't have no divorce decrees in our hands yet.
Mm-hmm.
She says we can have sex for old time's sake. Like, get the fuck out of here.
What? What?
I'm like, nah, I got to get some papers first before, no, because I'm not getting in that trick bag of we have sex and we don't have a divorce decree. And then she run back in there, oh, we had sex and now we got to go through the whole process. Nah. But eventually
I
after that, we
would
started
not.
having
You
sex.
could not have said 2 words to me
Yeah.
after all of that.
But eventually after that, we started having sex again.
She loved you. She definitely loved you.
We loved each other, honestly.
Oh my goodness.
we just marriage just wasn't our thing.
Y'all were better friends.
Yeah, definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
So you get divorced.
Yep.
Do you marry the love child's mother?
No.
No.
Don't marry her.
But you get married again.
We stay friendly. She moves on to her next man, and you know,
The love child's mother.
yeah, I'm still knocking that out the park like Louisville Slugger.
Wait, after she's moved on?
After she's moved on, look.
After she's moved on, you sleeping with her,
yeah,
and you done tipped back around the corner to the wife.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So you know, she gets to the point in her relationship to where they're gonna get married, but she's a better person than me because she would tell her dude that she was having sex with me, and I'm like, you tell him, and he's okay with that? I'm like, you know what? All right, but you know, they eventually get married, and you know, they go off and live their life. But
now, after they get married, you're not still creeping with her, right?
Yeah, I was. Look.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some liquor in a minute. Lord Jesus.
Yeah, I was horrible. I was horrible. But yeah, so I actually, let me see. That divorce was 06.
Jill's Chocolate Boutique. I promise.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
what in the world?
So, but okay, so another thing in my second marriage, my second wife is partly the reason why I got a vasectomy. Because I was out there doing my foolery.
Right.
I was out there doing my foolery, and she said, we can have a baby to make our marriage work. I had already talked to a urologist about getting a vasectomy, but I was like, I don't know. My meat might not get hard and this, that, and other. I was one of those dudes who just was clueless. But
pause. After you had a baby on her, you possibly had a baby on her, then you become the side dude to the other chick, and now she want to have a baby to save the relationship.
This is actually
This is before that.
This is before. Well, my son's mother was pregnant with him, and me and her were going through that, and I had already
She
said,
wants to have a baby to save the marriage while somebody else is carrying your child.
Right. She didn't know that she was carrying the child, but she was focused on saving the marriage.
Okay. And thought a baby would be the saving grace. Like,
so for me, I had, maybe I should get a vasectomy, because at that point I had two sons by two different people, and it was like that's my limit right there. Two baby mamas, or children by two different women. That was my limit. But I was hesitant because it was like, damn, what if I get this and my thing don't work, this, that, and the other. But when she said that, I was like, you know what? I don't care if it don't work. What I do not want is a third child by a third woman, and so on and so forth. So I made that appointment, got that done. I did it. I snuck and got it. I didn't even have somebody drive me there so they can drive me home, because you're under anesthesia and you're not supposed to drive after that. I went and got it done. I drove my high butt home and laid down, and I was like, done. So yeah.
So now I gotta ask this. After you get the snip, are you like wilding out after that?
See, and I'm glad you asked that, because that is something that people have said to me quite often. Oh, you just did that so you can have sex with anybody, is that? And it's like, no. I have two children by two different women. And that isn't more than enough for me. Ideally, I wanted my children to be born with one woman, but I was like, I got two children, two different women. I don't want a third. And during that time, I was telling myself, because this is before I was going to Iraq, I was like, I'm done with marriage. I'll never get married again. I'm just going to do me, do this, that, and other. It was never, vasectomy was never a vehicle for me to just be out there. It was never for that intent at all. But yeah, I just was like, nah, I'm not risking it. Cause it's like, I might get older and if I didn't get the vasectomy, what if I get in a relationship and get a woman pregnant? And it's like, now I got a third baby on the way, and it's like I'm at an age where I don't even want to raise kids anymore. So that was for me to get a vasectomy.
Okay. We moving on to round three.
Round three. Ding, ding, ding. So I had swore off of marriage. I was like, never again. I won't do this again. I'm not for it. It ain't for me. Blah, blah, blah. And then I had to remind myself, I said this after the first marriage. So after I got my head through that, it was like, you know what? I'm not going to say never. If it happens, it happens, whatever the case may be. So I guess around 2009, 2010, I was jumping from serious relationship to serious relationship. Hooked up with a girl from high school. We was doing our thing. And then, but she lived in Detroit at the time. And it was like, she's married. I don't know when she's going to get divorced, or if she's going to divorce. I'm in Maryland. And it's like, I don't know. So a coworker of mine introduced me to somebody, and we started vibing. And, she lived in Charlotte. I was in Maryland. She would come up, I would go down, Then it got to the point where it's like, all right, maybe, there's some potential here. So she moves up to Maryland, and, we doing our thing. And it's not an ideal relationship, but it was what it was. And it gets to the point to where it's like, look, if we're going to be together, we need to be married because I'm not with this whole shacking up thing. That's just not my thing. And she didn't want to get married. So I was like, well, if we're not getting married, we don't need to be together. Like I'm not the dude to play this shacking up thing. We under the same roof. We not if we're gonna be married, if we're gonna be like this, we're gonna do it the whole thing.
Now they say that women are the ones who say that. This is you saying,
yeah,
we're
because
not doing any shacking. We're
yeah,
gonna be married if we're gonna be together.
Nah, because for me it's like if we're gonna go through all of that, why not be married? Like, and at that time it was no just because we together you can get benefits this that and other. It was like nah, like if we married then we need to be married. We need to do this. You're like why are we going? It's like why are we living separate lives together? It's like you got kids and you doing your own thing, and it's like so I have a job, I have benefits this that and the other, and you have a job and you can barely afford your benefits. So it's like why not we get married so you all can be on my benefits and this, that, and the other, and this one headache that you don't have to worry about. That's what my logic was.
Mm-hmm.
But she wasn't seeing it that way. So I was like, look, if we're not gonna get married, we don't need to be together. So she changed her tune. That should have been one of those things where it's like, maybe I just ought to ease back off this, but I halfway went full steam ahead with it. Quickly found out that was not the ideal person to be married to. She caused a lot of, and mind you, at this point, I really, really wanted to be married. I really was aiming to be a married man. But it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. So things went south really, really fast.
On your part, did you want out or did she want out this time?
Oh, I wanted out. I wanted out.
Even though it was your idea.
Yeah, because, I drink, but I don't drink. And she drank. And when she drank, it took her out of character. Like, it got to the point where my family and friends backed off because it was like, she's too much. Nah, not coming around if you gonna be with her. Like, she would lie on me, lie to my friends, and do just weird stuff. Like, she would tell people, oh, he's beating on me, this, that, and others. Like, and I'm sitting, and for the longest time, it would take a long time to tell me this. And it was like, I'm sitting there like, why does people backing off? Like, what the hell? I don't get invited to things anymore and this, that, and the other. Like she would literally show her ass. And, then I started being pulled to the side. Hey, she said this, she said that. And it's like, what? I'm like, she's telling complete strangers that I'm beating on her. When if it's that serious, why don't she just call the goddamn police? That's what my head it was like.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to tell my friends that I'm beating on you, why don't you just call the police and have them come arrest me? Like, that's what my head was. I didn't understand it. So it gets to the point to where during Obama's second inauguration, I go to my sister's house to watch the inauguration. I come home, and at this point, we're sleeping in two different parts of the house. I go in the room and say something to her, and she just flips off and tries to stab me with a knife. And so I call 911. Like in some women would call a man a bitch for calling 911, but I call 911 because I'm not the one that I'm not because at this point I got a security clearance and all that. So I call 911 and I'm trying to go in different rooms to get away from her. She's yelling this, that, and that, banging on the doors and stuff. And the 911 operator is saying, I need you to go to a different room because I can't hear you. And I was like, I can't. She's banging on the door, blah, blah, blah. And then she said something, and I forgot what she said. And the 911 operator said, I'm sending help. 3 police cars show up, and they drag her ass off, take her to jail. I got paperwork to, I got receipts.
Is she intoxicated?
Yes, she was intoxicated.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, I don't have a knife, and oh, you're just doing this to me because I'm black, and oh, y'all just taking care of him because he's in the army. But they went and picked up the knife and took her away.
Was that the end?
No, that was not the end.
Yeah.
I mean, we could literally have a whole show on that marriage alone. Like literally.
So the
Like,
police haul her off to jail because she acted a plum fool in her
yeah.
drunken stupor.
So
But she comes back.
I had a temporary restraining order on her, so she could not come back in the house. And um the 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 husband that I started feeling sorry and stuff like that. So we had to go to court again to get the final order of protection. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna drop it. We're gonna work it out. Big mistake. Because things went downhill from there. It was just a lot of tension in the house or whatever. And then it got to the point in 2015 where it was like I just couldn't take no more. Like I would go out of town, come back, my stuff would be messed with. Like I had stuff in the shed was locked off. So the last time I had came back, I went to Florida for a week and came back, and I saw that the grass was cut. And I asked her son, I was like, who cut the grass? He's like, I did. Mom broke the lock on the shed and told me to cut the grass. And I'm like, So I looked in the shed because I had stuff in there. Stuff was missing. And I was like, I was in disbelief because I know it was in there, but I don't know. So I go back in the house and I'm saying, wait a minute. So I go back. I do this like 3 or 4 times. And it's like, my stuff is missing. So I called my best friend. I was like, yo, I need you to rent me a U-Haul truck because I'm out of here. He was like, you serious? I was like, yes, I need you to rent me a truck because I'm out of here. So he rented the truck. I got off work, came home. At that time, I had her kids had cell phones on my plan. So I took their cell phones so they couldn't call her, packed up everything that I needed in the truck, getting their cell phones back. And I was like, look, sorry that it's going this way, but I got to go. Love y'all. If you ever need me, you got my number, reach out, blah, blah, blah. Because me and her kids had a great relationship. But I was like, I got to go. And, of course, her kids were sad, but I was out and I did not look back.
I was going to ask when you stopped talking, like, where are the kids in all of this?
Yeah. I mean,
came into it. So when she's having these episodes after she's been drinking, are the kids seeing this?
Yeah, they're seeing it. And the sad part about it is she would try to keep them away from me. Me and her got into an argument because she would try to convince them that whatever is going on with me and her, I would take it out on them. And that was never the case. Me and her kids was cool. But yeah.
Whew. How do y'all finally separate? I mean, you pack the U-Haul and you leave.
Mm-hmm.
Do you come back?
No, I don't come back at all.
You don't come back?
Nope. At that time,
what's her response?
She had no response really. And I don't know if I was shocked or not, but I really didn't hear from her at all. And the house is in my name, the mortgage and everything is in my name, but her name was on the deed. And I just, at that point, I was just like, I don't care. I got to get out of here before something bad happens. And the next time I saw her was,
hey, Eugene.
Next time I saw her was in court when we was going for our divorce.
The next time you see her is in court for the divorce.
Yeah, a year later.
Nothing. So you show up with the U-Haul, pack your stuff up, leave, and no phone call, text message, nothing.
Nothing. Her son reached out to me a couple of times, and while she was at work, I came by, met him, around the corner or whatever, because he had asked me for a PlayStation game, and I gave him the game and asked him how he was doing and this, that, and the other, and it's like he's doing good, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll talk to you later.
How old are the kids?
At this time, he was I want to say he was in 10th grade at that time.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So 3 rounds of marriage
Yeah.
didn't work out.
No.
What do you feel about marriage today?
It's gonna take a hell of a woman to get me down that aisle. And I don't say that to say that, I'm the best thing on the planet, but I'm not in a rush. And I've come across women who want to be married, but I'd be like, wait a minute. Like,
So, I mean, that was just so much.
And that was just bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces, I know. And it's some other stuff that we want to get into, but I don't know if I should save that for another show and bring you back because we haven't got to SoulToucha the Poet.
I know, right? Damn.
And SoulToucha the Poet is some stuff that we want to talk about. So I think we should save that for another one. What you think?
We could do that.
Okay, and we'll have to figure out a time, work it out, because I didn't know we were gonna be here this long with this, but
me either. And honestly, we barely cracked the surface.
I know, but it's so funny, like when you are living your life. Yes, Jill's Chocolate Boutique, he just agreed to a part 2 because we haven't got to the juicy stuff. SoulToucha the Poet juicy stuff. So as So Hopeful, am I saying that right? As So Hopeful, So Hopeful. Y'all know I'm slow some days.
You are cut it out.
SoulToucha the Poet. SoulToucha the Poet, some of his pieces are very, very erotic. They're very erotic. I'll say that. Okay. So Hopeful. I got it. Miss Creative. She so got me like, I know, right? And he sit up on YouTube and everybody thinking he's so quiet and laid back. And he was out here for the streets.
I am quiet and laid back now.
I
look, I went from being shy to off the damn chain to saying the hell with life to appreciating life to now saying, you know what? Yeah.
Listen, Mandrell. You got to have me up here cussing, Mandrell. Listen, I told y'all, it is summertime. I am outside. We are here. Y'all see, we're not here on a Saturday night. We are here on a Wednesday because on the weekend I want to be outside. So maybe when it's fall and the temperatures drop and it's a little chilly outside, then I might do more than 3 interviews per year. How about that? I was still supposed to. We never finished part 2 of Mandrell. Like, I got so much stuff I ain't finished, y'all. It's a shame. I start projects and don't finish them. But I promise. Miss Creator said he got me shocked. Remind me of one of my uncles. Keep some drama with a woman.
But
well, I'm so glad he is retired now. That
he's so talking about Shy Brother phase when he had hair.
And he says, stay out of the streets. I am not staying out of the streets. I am living my best life right now.
It's fun outside.
I can't say I'm having a hot girl summer. I'm having a somebody summer. But yes. It's dang, Miss Creative, it is fall. She said it is fall, sis. It's September 21st.
That's right, it is.
Okay, well, after Halloween. Let's say that. I don't know. I like
man.
being outside, so I don't want to be cooped up in the house doing YouTube shows on a
Yeah,
Saturday.
I like being outside too.
But yeah, and he is outside too.
Yeah.
See, that's something else. We didn't even get to. Do y'all know this man is a kayaker? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
He goes out kayaking. Like, I didn't even know that was a black thing. Like, black people on kayaks.
I didn't know it was I knew it was a black thing, but I didn't know it was a black thing.
Yeah. So in the next episode, we're gonna talk about the kayaks. We're gonna talk about the erotic poetry. And we kind of skipped over that whole military thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that. Yes, a kayaker deals chocolate boutique. I know, who would have thunk it, right?
Hey, get out there on that water, get a kayak. I'm telling you, it's the most relaxing thing ever. You think if you think meditating is relaxing, go kayak.
The military, he shoots. And if y'all not following him on Instagram, y'all follow him on Instagram, because exactly who this. He say Miss Creative's new pick. Who this? He got used to seeing her other one. Miss Creative gonna have to cam up and join us on one of these shows. I don't know when, but yeah, we're gonna have to round her up and get her in too. But yeah, if y'all not following him on YouTube, make sure y'all follow his YouTube, because he got so much going on.
Yeah.
We're gonna part 2, we're gonna talk about the talk shows.
Oh my God, yes.
We're gonna talk about the talk shows. Like, it's so much to unpack. But
man.
yeah, we never know, like, when we're sharing our stories. Like, you might have a conversation here, a conversation there, but yes, darn, I don't have any
no moderators in there.
Yeah, no moderators in here to drop his channel.
Let me see.
I'm gonna get the link. Talk said, Jennesis, join me and Be More this weekend. Performances by Kenneth Babyface Edmond, Rebecca Black, Kelly Price, and John B. Talk, I'm there. As soon as I get the notification, I'm gonna live vicariously through your stream.
Man, that Talk be out here
all the time. Outside. I know. Look, Talk's supposed to come back, because Talk does day trading, and if y'all ain't following him either, he's going to the Charm City Music Festival in Baltimore. If y'all not following Talk, y'all need to follow him so y'all can make some money. Because he getting them coins. He is getting them coins day trading. But y'all, I be jumping all over the place. Like, I ain't doing a whole YouTube stream, but I just be talking. But when we're telling our stories, a conversation here, a conversation there, and we're living life every day, so we don't realize how wild or adventurous or salacious our stories are until you start telling, and then you like, man, where were the cameras? We should have had a camera following us. Like, reality TV now, we could have made reality TV, done some shows, and it probably would have been more interesting, because everybody has some kind of wild adventure or experience. And I love when people come on and share. And thank you for being so transparent.
Not a problem. Yeah, the one thing I've learned is never be ashamed of your truth.
That's right.
I grew up always being ashamed of. Look, I didn't like my name growing up. I didn't like my weight growing up. I didn't like a lot of things growing up. My nickname is King, and like I said, I went to school being called King. I remember in the 4th grade, I lied and said my name was John one time. Like, I was one of those.
You think John?
I don't know. It just sounded like it fit in. I just wanted to fit in. My life growing up was crazy. can't stand with her. I can't with her.
You know what, Miss Creative? Nowadays, all you need is one to come up with a story.
God.
All you need is one, because the way that I'm hearing how marriages are going, like marriage is an adventure all its own.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I haven't even touched on the traumatic parts of my life. So yeah, we got a
We
lot
gonna
to
get
talk
to
about.
that.
Yeah,
We
we got a
gonna
lot
get
to
to
talk
the trauma and the recovery, all of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, Jill's Chocolate Boutique. She said, SoulToucha, your interview was better than TV. I know. Listen, y'all, I have been waiting and
Yes.
waiting to do this sit down with him, because I got snippets here or there.
Mm.
And I was just like, I thought I was like the only person on the planet with like a crazy story.
Yeah.
And then I heard parts of his. I'm like, okay, we cousins for real. We related for real, because it's crazy out here.
It is crazy out here. You know, we, like I said, we all think that we are going through something until we hear somebody else's story, and then it's like sometimes our stories ain't nothing compared to others.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know if it's insensitive or what, but when I look at what I've been through in my life and I hear some of the things that some of these people going through, especially these kids, I'll be like, that's all you went through?
Nothing, right? That ain't nothing.
Like, bro, yo, I can tell you some stories that have had your mouth drop and you know, maybe want to get your life together, but yeah, definitely got a lot more to share.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's nothing new under the sun. And I love, you know, that you echoed what I say all the time about living in your truth. You know, nobody has a heaven or hell to put us in. You know, what you or I have experienced or what somebody else has experienced is nothing new. You know, people live in secret or in the shadows because they're afraid of the judgment that comes with you sharing your story. And it's like, if we look at everybody's life, you can find something.
You can find
if you ain't got a crackhead, you got a drunk. If you ain't got one of them, you know, you got the crazy cousin or the uncle that you couldn't leave around the kids. You know, everybody has something.
Yeah, everybody has something.
Everybody wants to portray that their lives are perfect, that they haven't been through anything. And I tend to believe, or I'm of the opinion that because everybody is in hiding and everything is a secret, that's why people aren't getting the help. Like the stuff that we go through, you know, isn't by happenstance. You know, that's probably a ministry or a word that we're supposed to give to somebody else. You know, let them learn from your mistakes. Let them, you know, avoid something maybe by sharing your experience so that they don't go down that road. But if we don't do that, you know, people don't get the help that they need, or, you know, the cycles continue. And in the Black community, it's insane, you know, that we are going further and further down into the deep of dysfunction because everybody's embarrassed.
Yeah, they're embarrassed or they haven't been taught how to speak freely with whatever they're going through, anything like that. And you know, the one thing that I've learned and that a lot of us Black people need to take into consideration is that your story is not too bad. It's sometimes shocking to people who know you on one level. Like somebody could know me as, you know, fun loving, charismatic, this, that, and the other. But when I tell them my story, they look at me like, you? Like, and it's like, yeah, it's like sometimes your story catches people off guard because you've been through it. Especially if you've made it through, they're shocked that you made it through so much. Or
you don't look like the hell you've been through.
Yeah. Or some people are just so sheltered that they don't think that it's possible for you to go through that. And sometimes we internalize that as they're judging me or something like that. Some people may be judging you, but oftentimes people are shocked that you've made it through or that you've gone through something.
Mm-hmm. We make it look easy.
Yeah.
If you don't look like, beat to hell, you know how the homeless, you ain't looking disheveled and, you're not on drugs, you're not an
Yeah.
alcoholic, then people think that you haven't gone through anything.
Yeah. But
we all do.
You got to understand, sometimes we go through things and we look at the things around us or that we've been through. And some of us say, I'm not doing that. For instance, like me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be a drug addict, drug user, drug abuser. I'm not going to be alcoholic because it's just not productive to what I have going on. Like it's taken me a while to get where I am, and I'll be damned if I have drugs and alcohol take that away from me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I applaud you, because you saw the dysfunction and you decided that you were going to be the one to break the cycle. It ends here. I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing. And some people aren't strong enough to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but for the most part, when I look back from what I've come from, I'm damn successful. I am successful.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, y'all, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with somebody. And if you are subscribed, make sure you have hit the bell so that you get all of the notifications for when we come back again, because we're going to bring him back for part 2. Yeah. And, you never know what's going to come out of this channel, because I still haven't finished talking about the book of Jennesis. I shared some of my stories. So I'm going to mix it up. You never know what you're going to get. You got to tune in to see what it's going to be, whatever day.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, channel full of surprises. But we're going to bring Mr. SoulToucha the Poet back again for some more tea, another. We're gonna have to bring popcorn and some beverages,
Yeah, bring a drink,
non-alcoholic, whatever it is.
Bring a drink.
Huh?
Bring a drink and a church fan.
I know, right?
Yeah,
we don't have to do that.
She gonna have me telling you stuff that's gonna make you drink, and she gonna have me telling you stuff to make you want to fan yourself. Because
I was ready to do all of that today, because it could not have been me. It could not have been me. Like, it would have been some furniture moving or something. I don't know, bodily fluids, red bodily fluids leaking from somebody's head, because I would split your head to the white meat.
Oh, man.
Behind all of that. But
yeah,
I really wouldn't have. But y'all
I was horrible.
Yeah, you were. You were.
Yeah. I was a horrible husband.
You're something else.
Look, you know what? I look at it like this, though. As horrible as I was, if she forgave me and we could be best of friends now, that means a lot. That means that I've come a long way.
A strong woman. Thank you, Talk. Talk said, great show. Yes, Talk, you're going to be seeing me a little bit more regularly now. Maybe not on a Saturday night, but
creative.
Yeah. Wait, before we go.
Oh my God.
Jill Chaka Boutique said, Lord, I needed smelling salt. I fainted 3 times today. I'm trying to tell you.
Oh,
so
man.
Wait, before we go, shout out your channel.
Oh yeah.
Where
so
can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, SoulToucha the Poet _official. You can find me on YouTube, SoulToucha the Poet. You can also tune in to the King and I Life podcast on YouTube. That's where you can find me.
All right, y'all. It's been one. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all of the support, everybody. Yes. Until next time.
Next time, we're going to open up with erotic poetry, though.
Yes, we're going to open up with the erotic poetry.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do next time.
So put your kids in the bed, in the other room, something out of earshot, because when you're responsible for what they hear over here now, this is a grown folks show.
You know what? I'm gonna try to come up with something new just for the next show.
All right. Y'all heard that. He said he's going to come up with something new. So we're going to get the exclusive material.
Oh, yeah.
See y'all.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Book of Genesis with your host, Jennesis. If you would like to be a blessing, would like to be interviewed, or if you or someone you know would like exposure for your business, call us at 708-595-7500. Again, 708-595-7500. Email at Jennesis@thebookofgenesis.com. That's Jennesis @thebookofgenesis, Jennesis.com. Or contact us by regular mail at P.O. Box 40, Monique, Illinois 60449. Thank you again for listening to the Book of Genesis.